All right, so in the previous video, we looked at a situation where we were operating to the left of the equilibrium quantity. So in this video, we're going to look at what happens to a situation when we're to the right of the equilibrium quantity. Okay, so we'll just choose some Q2 quantity to the right of the equilibrium. And at that Q2, again, we can read at this Q2, we can read the marginal benefit, which is read from the demand curve, and we can read the marginal cost, which is read from the supply curve. So the difference here in this situation, compared to the first situation, we have a situation where the marginal benefit at $3 is less than the marginal cost, which in this case is $7. So kind of the opposite situation. Okay? So what happens at that Q2? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to read the values directly and interpret them and figure out what should be done. Okay, so we'll start with that marginal benefit value at Q2. At Q2, marginal benefit is equal to $3. What's the interpretation? The interpretation is saying if consumers consume one more unit of the good, it's going to generate an additional $3 in benefits. Okay? So again, as we've always said, if consumers consume more, it will generate additional benefits. It's generally a good thing, okay, by itself. Now we go to the marginal cost measure. The marginal cost, as read off the supply curve, remember the supply is the same thing as the marginal cost for the industry. It's telling us it's $7. What's the interpretation? Well, if the industry produces one more unit of the good, it's going to cost an additional $7 worth of resources to produce that good. Okay? Again, anytime you produce more of something, it's going to cost you additional resources. Again, nothing is for free. So according to this, and kind of looking at how we interpreted before, should we consume more? Well, if we consume one more unit of the good, it's going to generate $3 worth of benefits, additional benefits, but it's going to cost us $7 in additional resources. So from the perspective of society, that's a bad thing. What we're going to end up having is, as a result of consuming one more unit of the good, we're actually going to reduce our net benefit by $4 because we're spending more than what we're going to get out of that additional production and consumption. Okay? So definitely, we do not want to increase our consumption. Okay? What about decreasing our consumption and production? Well, the thing about these values for marginal benefit and marginal cost is they can be read in reverse too. So if we're looking at this point, we have marginal benefit equals $3, we're going to kind of turn around that interpretation. We're going to say if we reduce our consumption by 1 unit, we're going to reduce our total benefits by $3. So if you consume less, you're going to feel less well off. How much less well off? $3 worth less well off worth. Okay? So we reduce our consumption, we're going to reduce our total benefits by $3. Seems like a bad thing. Well, the other side of that is if you reduce your production, that means you're not needing to expend resources. How much resources, how much less resources are we going to be using? Well, the marginal cost is $7, so if we reduce our production by 1 unit, we're going to save $7 worth of resources. So that's a good thing, okay? We're not having to expend resources. So what's the result of that? Well, we're saving $7. We've got plus $7. We're losing $3 in terms of the lost benefit from reducing our consumption. And that's going to give us a net benefit of $4. So basically what we're saying in this particular example with these particular values that if we reduce our consumption, society is better off because we're not wasting so many resources. Yes, we're losing some benefits, but they're more than made up in the savings. And the idea is you could use these savings for other things, okay? There's some other allocation of resources that would make us better off. But just kind of keeping it within this particular market, where society is better off, consumers and producers kind of put together, society is better off than by reducing our consumption. Okay? So what's the general rule from this? It's not just 3 and 7. Anytime you're to the right of that equilibrium, you've got a situation where the marginal benefit is less than the marginal cost. And we can have this general rule that reducing our consumption and production will make us better off. And what you'll notice, and we didn't say this in the previous video, as you reduce your production and consumption, the gap between the marginal cost and the marginal benefit narrows. So reducing the consumption will be a benefit, but those benefits will get smaller and smaller. Okay? And what we're ultimately going to see is that we're going to be best off back at that equilibrium. In fact, we'll just go ahead and look at that situation. At the equilibrium, where supply equals demand, marginal benefit equals marginal cost. Okay? So if it happens to be 5 and 5, again, we'll do the interpretation. If we consume one more unit of the good, we're going to generate an additional $5 worth of benefits. But in order to produce that additional unit of good, we're going to have to expend $5 worth of resources, so it's a wash. We're kind of indifferent. If we're at this point, there's no benefit to increasing production, and also there's no benefit, net benefit, increasing the net benefit to decreasing production. So that's kind of backing into why the equilibrium, under certain conditions, is where we want to be.